Welcome to Wednesday's Vacation Bible School. This is the Faith Station, and we're going to learn about when Moses parted the Red Sea. That's from the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 14. Pharaoh was already near when the Israelites looked up and saw that the Egyptians were on the march in pursuit of them. In great fright, they cried out to the Lord. They complained to Moses, "Were there no burial places in Egypt that you had to bring us out here to die in the desert? Why did you do this to us? Why did you bring us out of Egypt? Did we not tell you this in Egypt when we said, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians. Far better for us to be the slaves of the Egyptians than to die in the desert.' But Moses answered the people, 'Fear not, stand your ground and you will see the victory of the Lord will win for you today. These Egyptians whom you see today, you will never see again. The Lord himself will fight for you. You have only to keep still.' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Why are you crying out to me? Let the Israelites go forward. And you lift up your staff with your hand outstretched over the sea. Split the sea in two, that the Israelites may pass through it on dry land. But I will make the Egyptians so obstinate, they will go in after them. Then I will receive glory through Pharaoh and all his army, his chariots and charioteers. The Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I receive glory through Pharaoh and his chariots and charioteers.' The angel of God, who had been leading Israel's camp, now moved and went around behind them. The column of cloud also, leaving the front, took up its place behind them, so that it came between the camp of the Egyptians and that of Israel. The cloud now became dark, and thus the night passed without the rival camps coming any closer together all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. The Lord swept the sea with a strong east wind throughout the night, so it turned into dry land. When the water was thus divided, the Israelites marched into the midst of the sea on dry land, with the water like a wall to their right and to their left." The destruction of the Egyptians. The Egyptians followed in pursuit. All Pharaoh's horses and chariots and charioteers went after them right into the midst of the sea. In the night watch, just before dawn, the Lord cast through the column of the fiery cloud upon the Egyptian force a glance that threw them into a panic. He clogged their chariot wheels, that they could hardly drive. With that, the Egyptians sounded the retreat before Israel, because the Lord was fighting for them against the Egyptians. Then the Lord told Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the water may flow back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots and their charioteers." So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at dawn the sea flowed back to its normal depth. The Egyptians were fleeing head-on toward the sea when the Lord hurled them into its midst. As the water flowed back, it covered the chariots and the charioteers of Pharaoh's whole army, which had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not a single one of them escaped, but the Israelites had marched on dry land through the midst of the sea, with the water like a wall to their right and to their left. Thus, the Lord saved Israel on that day from the power of the Egyptians. When Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore, and beheld the great power that the Lord had shown against the Egyptians, they feared the Lord and believed in him and in his servant Moses. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Yeah.
So, in that Bible story, Moses was leading his people away from slavery, and the Egyptians had kept them as slaves, and they decided that they wanted to still have them as slaves. So they followed, but God was with the Israelites and with Moses, and he led them through the Red Sea because he opened up a path for them, and then he closed it so that the Egyptians would not catch up with them. So sometimes things seem really hard and impossible, but with God, all things are possible. He even parted a sea. Thanks for being with us at the Faith Station, and we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow.